Welcome to this epic 3-hour collection of the wildest, strangest, creepiest, and most unbelievable stories ever shared on Reddit. It all begins with one simple question. What's the weirdest, scariest, or most ridiculous thing that has ever happened to you? Join us as we dive deep into the unfiltered corners of the internet where real people recount the most unforgettable events of their lives. From bizarre animal encounters and unexplainable coincidences to chaotic accidents and encounters with the paranormal, these stories will grip you from start to finish. So grab your headphones, settle in, and get ready for over 3 hours of Reddit chaos you won't believe is real, but somehow is. You'll hear things that will make you laugh, question reality, and maybe double-check that sound you just heard from the hallway, because when Reddit speaks, you never know what you're going to get. The owl at a.m. It was 2 in the morning, and I was alone in my sister's apartment. She had gone on a weekend trip with her friends, and I had agreed to house sit and keep an eye on her cat. It was a quiet night, the kind of silence that starts to feel heavy after a while. The laundry machine was humming softly in the background, and I was folding clothes on the couch, half watching a late-night documentary about sea creatures. Suddenly, there was a loud thud from the bathroom. Not a crash, not something falling to the floor. More like something heavy hitting the wall or landing somewhere it shouldn't have. I froze. My first thought was that maybe her cat knocked something over, but I hadn't seen him in hours. I crept toward the bathroom, the hallway somehow darker than usual. I turned the corner slowly and flipped on the light, and what I saw made me forget how to breathe. Perched on top of the shower rod, directly above the bathtub, was a large owl, a real owl, with wide amber eyes that locked with mine the second the light came on. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It just stared. At first, I genuinely thought I was hallucinating. I rubbed my eyes, leaned in slightly, and it tilted its head in that unnervingly precise way owls do, like it was sizing me up. There was no broken window, no open door. I still don't know how it got in. The bathroom window was cracked open slightly for ventilation, but the screen was intact. We stayed like that for what felt like 10 minutes, though it was probably just one. I didn't dare move. I felt like any sudden motion would provoke it, and yet, it didn't seem scared. If anything, I felt like I was the intruder. Eventually, it blinked once, then stretched its wings silently, turned, and with a quick gust of wind and a flap, it slipped out through the window like it had never been there at all. The bathroom fell silent again when my sister got home the next day. I hesitantly told her what happened. She paused, looked at the window, and just muttered, "Oh, so you met Greg." Apparently, the owl had appeared once before, weeks prior, perched outside the same bathroom window. She never saw it again, until now, the vanishing cat. When I was in college, I adopted a rescue cat named Oliver. He was orange, moody, and smarter than he had any right to be. He always slept at the foot of my bed, curled in a tight loaf-like. He owned the place. One night, I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone. Oliver jumped up like usual, did a few slow turns, and then plopped down to get comfortable. I reached down to scratch behind his ears. He purred, and then he stretched. Just a normal, long, lazy cat stretch, except in the middle of the stretch, his body shimmered. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like a heatwave ripple, like the air around him distorted, and in the blink of an eye, he was gone. No poof, no running off, just vanished. I sat bolt upright in bed, heart pounding. I looked under the blankets, under the bed, around the room. Nothing. He wasn't in the closet, not in the bathroom, nowhere. I stayed up all night with the lights on, thinking I had imagined it. Maybe I was overtired. Maybe I nodded off and dreamed the whole thing. But the next morning, Oliver was in the kitchen, sitting by his food bowl, meowing like it was just another Tuesday. I tried to ignore it, but it happened again 2 weeks later. Same shimmer, same disappearance, only this time, I caught a glimpse of something, like a doorway opening behind him, or maybe inside him. I know how it sounds, but I swear that cat had access to somewhere else. I still have him. He's older now, sleeps more, but every now and then, I catch him staring at the wall like he's waiting for something. And I don't ask questions anymore. The bear that knocked politely. I was spending the weekend at a small log cabin deep in the Colorado Rockies. It belonged to my uncle, who'd let me use it for a solo retreat. No internet, no cell service, just quiet wilderness, a wood stove, and books I never had time to read. The first night was peaceful. I made a fire, had some wine, and listened to the trees, swaying in the wind. It was pure solitude. Exactly what I needed. Around 1:30 a.m., just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. Knock, 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 not pounding, not scratching, knocking. I sat up in bed, completely still. My first instinct was fear. Who would be knocking at this hour, in the middle of the woods, 20 miles from the nearest neighbor? I crept to the window, lifted the edge of the curtain just slightly, and what I saw almost made me scream. There was a bear, a huge brown bear, standing upright. Its paw was still hovering mid-air. It had knocked. I froze. Was I dreaming? Bears don't knock. Bears claw. Bears smash. This one just Stood there, blinking, breathing, waiting. I backed away from the window and locked the deadbolt, not that it would matter against a 400-pound animal. My heart was racing. I picked up the fire poker and just sat in the center of the cabin, listening. After a few minutes, the bear lowered itself back down, snorted, and slowly lumbered off into the dark. The next morning, I walked outside with caution. There were claw marks on the doorframe, not from a rampage, but like it had gently tapped the wood. And on the deck, a small, torn paper food bag, one I hadn't brought. When I told my uncle, he laughed nervously. "Oh yeah," he said. "That's probably Bernard. He used to be fed by campers years ago. He got used to knocking." I haven't seen him in forever. The strangest part, every night after that, around 1:30 a.m., I'd hear footsteps circling the cabin, not aggressive, just pacing, curious, and once, while reading by the fire, I swear I heard the front doorknob jiggle. I cut the trip short by 2 days, and I never went back. The possum in the vents. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town after a rough breakup. It wasn't much, low ceilings, creaky floors, and paint that peeled in spots, but it was mine. Peaceful, quiet, or so I thought. The first few nights were uneventful, but on the fourth night, I heard scratching above me. It started around 2:15 a.m., faint, rhythmic, like something crawling or dragging tiny claws across metal. I told myself it was just pipes expanding, or maybe squirrels on the roof. But every night after that, the sound returned, always between 2 and 3 a.m., always louder than before. Then came the growling. It wasn't loud, but it was deep, wet, like something snarling through a mouthful of saliva. I muted the TV and stood under the vent with a flashlight. I couldn't see anything, but the moment I turned off the light, the sound came again. One night, I decided to record it. I placed my phone under the main ceiling vent before bed. In the morning, I listened to the playback. I nearly dropped the phone. Not only was the growling there, clear as day, but I could hear something, mumbling. It sounded almost human, a soft whisper, repeating something over and over. I couldn't make it out. That day, I called the landlord. He was dismissive, said, "Probably a raccoon or possum. Happens this time of year," but I knew something wasn't right, so I set up my old GoPro. I fixed it inside the vent panel, using a coat hanger and duct tape. That night, the scratching returned. The growl, a loud thud, like something dropping onto the metal duct. When I reviewed the footage the next morning, I stopped breathing. There was something in the duct. It looked like a possum, at first, but its eyes glowed far too bright. It blinked, then looked directly into the camera and smiled, a wide, human-like grin. I packed a bag and left that day, didn't even grab my deposit. The last thing I remember hearing, as I closed the door, was the sound of something thumping in the ceiling, fast, heavy, and following me as I walked out. I never went back. To this day, I still wonder what I caught on tape, but I'll never watch that video again. The fox on the highway. It was a little past 2:30 a.m. on a chilly November night. I was driving home after a late shift at the diner, cutting through the backroads like I always did. The highway was dead, not a single other car in sight, just endless trees and patches of fog catching my headlights like ghosts drifting across the road. I was maybe 15 minutes from home when I saw it, a fox darting out from the woods and stopping dead in the center of the road. I slowed down quickly and came to a full stop, headlights illuminating the animal in perfect, start to tail. It didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there, eyes locked with mine. At first, I thought it was just stunned by the lights. That happens, right? But something felt off. Its posture was too still, too perfect, like it was posing, not paralyzed by fear, but waiting for something. I tapped the horn. Nothing. I flashed my brights. Still nothing. I even revved the engine slightly. The fox didn't blink. And then, after what felt like an eternity, it turned its head very slowly to the left, toward the trees. Then, without any rush, it trotted off the road and vanished into the dark. That alone would have been strange, but what happened next sent chills down my spine. As I passed the spot where the fox had stood, my headlights caught something else. A figure, tall, thin, standing just behind the tree line. Pale, motionless. I slammed the brakes, heart pounding, and looked again. Nothing. It was gone. I told myself I imagined it, that it was just shadows and fog. But for the rest of the drive, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. And the weirdest part, when I pulled into my driveway and stepped out of the car, there were paw prints, fresh ones, leading from the woods, straight to my back porch. And then, nothing. No prints leading away. Just gone. I never take that highway at night anymore. Sometimes, I still see that fox in my dreams. Just standing there, staring, waiting, in the quietest places, in the darkest hours, in the moments between logic and fear. That's where these stories live. Whether it's a stranger who watches too closely, or a creature that seems too intelligent to be just an animal, reality blurs. The Redditors who shared these moments weren't looking to be believed. They just needed to speak. And maybe that's the scariest thing of all. That truth doesn't need proof to haunt us. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you've enjoyed this collection, Be sure to subscribe for more unsettling, raw, and unforgettable Reddit stories. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe don't look under your bed tonight.